How are you, everyone? Friday Night Live. Sorry about us not being here last week. Unfortunately, Trent had to go in the hospital last week, and what was I doing? Something.
We're wearing masks.
Yeah, we start wearing masks.
Yeah.
So, and it was just for the week, and now it was just this week, and now it's just another week. So, it's annoying, but it is what it is. So. Unfortunately, Trent's not here, so he's not here to talk about new products and whatnot, which is his side of things, because there is the ATAs, which we spoke about a little while ago, and we're just reminding people that they are coming in soon.
Right, yep.
Yeah, the ATA rifles.
No, I've got a date.
Yeah, which is really cool. And at a really good price.
The 3-lug bolt are supposed to be.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah, like
are they turn bolt or straight bolt?
10 bolt.
10 bolt.
60 degree bolt.
Yeah.
Right.
But a really nice bit of walnut for under $1,000.
Yeah.
There you go.
Like I'm tempted by that.
So it's something that's going to compete, obviously, in the market with like Ruger American and Ticker and Weatherby and that sort of stuff.
You're right.
But it'll probably be a little bit better price. But we'll wait and see what it's like. You know, a lot of stuff out of Europe's hit and miss. You know, in one instance you've got like Crico, in another instance you've got Zastava. You know, like it's a bit.
Yeah, we know.
You know, some Turkish shotguns are better than others, and in one instance you've got like the old Brunos, and then you've got the new Brunos.
Yeah.
Not to confuse it with CZ because it's a different factory.
That's right.
But I think the big benefit of this one is that they're coming from Naya.
And so Naya will be backing the product up.
Yeah.
And Naya wouldn't be doing it unless it was a good product.
Like
unless they'd done a lot of testing on it and that sort of stuff.
They support their products.
Yeah, they're selling Ruger,
Savage, Anschutz, Kimber. They've got Barrett, they've got a lot of stuff.
A lot of good brands, and I don't think they'd introduced a brand that wasn't complementary to what they've got.
No, it was good. They've always done good products.
Yeah.
And
I saw a write-up, a bit of a write-up on it to tell you what it was. It just said, basically it's a 3-lug bolt, I think detachable magazine, and Turkish walnut. So even if it's ordinary Turkish walnut, it'll be nice. It'll be very much on a par with anything that Howard
and Weatherby and Ticker and that sort of stuff. Because Tickers are a bit hit and miss with the walnut as well. Some come through and they're pretty nice, and some come through and they're
ordinary.
But I think that's just the way it is now.
Oh, yeah.
But also at that end of the market, if you want nice walnut, you got to expect to pay Seiko prices and that sort of stuff.
And this is, under a third of a Seiko price.
Yeah,
right. It was.
So you're looking at it'll be a pretty reasonable product.
And then the other side of it is that ALR that they've got for, if you want a chassis.
Yeah, that's right. They do it in 6.5 Creedmoor and everything.
Yeah, and they're coming in at under $2,000.
Yeah.
Like, that's another good thing.
It's going to shake up the market a bit, that's for sure.
It's only anodized, isn't it?
Brand. No, I've got that too.
ATA.
No,
ALR
it's
is
a
one of
model of the ATA.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you got some old shit for us tonight, Bill?
Well, I've got an old rifle here. This is the Savage Model 29, and the 29 stands for when it first came on the market in 1929, and it was only manufactured for 10 years. 1939 they stopped production, so this rifle is at least 80 years old, and probably may well be older, maybe 90 years old. So it's seen a fair bit of use. It came in with a history of poor ignition, poor firing pin. And when I took it apart, the firing pin had been broken once before, perhaps twice before. It had been welded up, bronzed up in a couple of places. So I had a. It was broken in two actually when it came out of the gun, but it had broken on one of the old brakes. So I had something to copy, but as with all things, it takes a little bit of tidying up. When you get a piece, get a firing pin in there that works, and then you've got to work out a few other things. And there were a few other things broken in there. There was a little pin that retains a spring. There's a little hollow piece of tube that houses the extractor spring, but it also limits the travel and locates the firing pin. The firing pin's got two elongated slots in it that it runs backwards and forwards on inside the bolt. One of them is hollow, and the extractor spring goes, or extractor's spring goes in there, and so the spring goes between the two extractors and functions make them hold them together to hold the rim of the case. And the funny thing about it is that it's being at the age it is, it has no interrupter on the trigger. So if you fire it and you held your finger on the trigger and pump the gun open to eject the empty and load a new one, it will probably fire as you shut the bolt because the hammer will follow down the bolt.
But the firing pin isn't just the firing pin.
No, that's the other thing I was just going to say. The firing pin's not just a firing pin. It's very long. It protrudes probably about 3 millimetres when the bolt is fully to the rear. And the idea of that is that it acts as the ejector at the same time as being a firing pin. So when you function the slide fully to the rear, the bolt hits the back of the frame and pushes the firing pin forward because it projects from the rear of the bolt. It pushes the firing pin forward and flicks the empty out. So it's a multi-function piece of gear, that firing pin.
Who invented this gun? This looks like a complicated piece of shit invented by Browning.
No, I don't think it is.
I don't think it is either.
I think it may well be a Peterson design. It's got a little bit of the old Remington 22 look about it.
Yeah. It's funny how you can look at designs and there's hallmarks within the design which indicate sort of who made it, you know.
Where it was designed and who made it, yeah.
And I suppose you get that with cars and planes and all that sort of shit as well, you know.
So anything mechanical that gets invented.
There would be a category that would sort of indicate where it was made.
And engineers will look at other product to see what pieces they can pinch out of it to use in their own devices.
Yeah.
I remember reading a motoring magazine this is what tells you a story, reading a motoring magazine in the late 60s it would have been, and it was talking about the car show in Milan, and it said there was European cars surrounded by Japanese photographers.
Yeah, okay.
And as we can see, the Japanese well and truly caught up in the design of motor vehicles.
But they like copying everyone's stuff.
Yeah, they do. They did. But they did a good job of it too. That was the thing. It came out top quality when they made something. So,
guns, cars, aircraft.
Yeah.
Copied everything.
But the interesting thing about that as well is that it's not an exposed hammer. That's a lot of these sorts of things were.
Yeah. This is sort of not revolutionary, but it would have been an interesting rifle that hit the market in 1929 when people looked at it right at the start of the Depression. And maybe that tells you something too.
They looked at that and said, bloody $480 million. That's a bargain.
Yeah.
I'll buy one tomorrow and probably one the next day.
Yeah. It'll be a bit dearer the day after that.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, I've got a splinter in my finger, steel splinters in. But yeah,
Need a magnet or something to get it in.
Yeah, I know. It's quite a streamlined looking gun for its time, and this is the sort of style of 22 that was being made back then, and well and truly became well and truly popular. They're very cheap. Well, by our standards, they were very cheap, and probably sold for about $25 US, something like that.
Yeah, but that was probably 2 months. Probably not 2 months, but
$25. Probably a month's wages for some people, you know.
So today it would be, what, $4,000?
Well, if you saw the interior of that, you'd probably say it'd be an expensive little gun to make nowadays, a very expensive.
Well, that's because labour is so expensive now, which is why you've got manufacturers like Ruger going towards the Ruger American. Is just a simple gun, you know, that's manufactured with CNCs and that sort of shit.
Yeah.
To try and reduce labour costs. Material costs nowadays are relatively
like peanuts. You know,
minimum.
we've only got to look at the things we make. The material costs we make things out of, you know, like in this, I made a screw for it. Took me a long time. I won't say how long.
Well, it was a very specific screw. Yeah, you couldn't go down to Coventry's and buy a pack of 5 for $2 or something.
But the material would have been like 10 cents worth of stainless steel, to make. But
for a $200 screw.
Yeah, for a $200 screw. Yeah. But if you looked at the bolt in this thing, which is quite intricate, I just hate to think the number of. Oh damn it! We've done it again.
So is that another market we're branching out into? $200 screws.
Yeah.
Well, this is the thing. We have to make a lot of tools. We have to make a lot of parts here. Yeah. We have to make a lot of tools to make a lot of parts here as well. Like I had to make a tool fixture today.
Yeah. There's the bolt out of it. I hate to think how many setups that took to make all the machining processes that went into making that, and the accuracy that needed to be done, because this bolt and the firing pin actually assist in the timing of the lifter and the way the cartridge stops work to stop the next cartridge round coming out of the tube of the magazine. It's a very expensive piece of gear that you would part to make, and so it has to be so accurate with those cuttings that so it was an expensive little gun in its time.
It's only a slick little unit though. Yeah, very, very complicated, but very slick at the same time.
Yeah.
I can definitely imagine this being like a popular gallery gun, or.
Yeah, that's the sort of thing it would be, because it probably holds 15 rounds in the magazine.
Yeah.
Made in the days when Savage made really nice guns. Model 99 was one of their flagship. Really, the Model 99 lever action.
And that was in high-powered calibers as well, wasn't it?
That's right. It was.
Because they made it in 303 for a little bit, didn't it?
Yeah, they made it in 303 and eventually made it in 308, 243.
Well, they made them up until the 50s or something.
Yeah, that's right. And they stopped making them, and then they made a centenary batch in 99.
Yeah,
that was the end of it.
Yeah.
I don't know how many they made in 99, not many.
Probably fuck all, yeah. Well, I didn't even know that they'd made it.
Yeah, there would have been a few that would have gone to, mostly to dealers in the US, so you know. But, this was when manufacturing like this was at its peak. You know, high sort of pride in what they did and turning out product that worked really well and appealed to people.
Because a lot of that would have been handmade.
Yeah,
pretty much all of it would have been.
Pretty much the wood.
And when I mean handmade, I mean even there would have been a machinist standing there turning cogs to machine the separate parts,
That's
you know,
right.
that sort of stuff.
Especially
they would have produced a part and, you know, I made that part and it goes into that gun.
Yeah.
Whereas nowadays they just get spat out off CNCs.
machine makes, yeah.
You know, I mean the you know, kudos goes to the person who designed the part nowadays because the designer has to think about a whole range of different things when they're designing a part and the interchangeability and all that sort of shit.
But then he would have
They
one
would
of
just
those
give it bloody.
when you had one of those computer programs that he can make the part in there and make sure it works.
Yeah, like a SolidWorks program.
Yeah, SolidWorks program. Yeah, so.
And then,
But yeah, you're right. There'd be a guy standing there at a manual milling machine or a manual lathe, and he would be measuring, cutting, machining, whatever, and he'd be doing, 50 or 100 a day, perhaps, something like that. Working his ass off for bloody peanuts, probably. But
but there would have been a level of, not to say that there isn't nowadays, but nowadays it's the way the world's gone is that to reduce costs, which is what everyone wants. We have to look at other manufacturing techniques because people don't want to pay $4,000 for a pump action 22.
Oh, that's right. And we see the quality of the $500 to $800 22s that we get nowadays. They're good enough, but that's it, really.
Yeah.
You don't see, unless you want to buy something like an Anschutz or Kruko.
If they still even make.
Yeah, I think they do, but no one brings them to W English. So yeah, unless you want to buy an Anschutz, for instance, or something of that quality, where you're going to pay $2 to $2.5 grand for a 22.
Well, even Anschutz have got rid of their match 54 action and all that sort of stuff.
Have they?
Yeah, it's
They've got that new
1761, I think it is.
Yeah.
Which is sort of a cross trade-off between the 64 and the 54 action in design. Yeah, and it's good and it's strong, but obviously they're producing it to produce a product at a price that the market will bear.
Yeah, that's right. That'll be what it is. They probably found that as match 54 and 64, especially match 54 has been around for a long time.
The big one,
Yeah, and they've used on a lot of different calibers. 22 Hornet, 222, and 22 Magnum, 22, 17.
Yeah.
Lots of calibers, and
bit expensive to make.
That's probably expensive to make, and that's what's driven them.
It's kind of funny how we've gone from extolling the virtues of a very cheap Turkish-made rifle to, humming and ahhing about the woes of.
But that's the thing is the Turks, their guns don't have the same relative cost of labour associated with it.
Yeah, that's true.
Because wages in Australia and the US and even Japan to an extent, I imagine, would be much higher than that of wages in Turkey.
Yeah, but it's amazing that the Japanese can produce Weatherbys and Howards at the price point that they end up at.
Yeah, hammer forwards though, as well. But also up until recently, labour costs were cheap, especially in the 80s.
Yeah, I guess so.
In Japan, labour was relatively cheap.
Relatively, yeah. But now I think you'll find that their wages are probably comparable to Australia or America or wherever.
Yeah. I mean, certainly none of my equipment is made in Japan anymore.
No.
You'd either have to get old lenses or very expensive lenses to get made there. The glass comes from Japan, but the rest is assembled in Thailand or Korea. Or
that's right.
Well, that's the way of everything nowadays, isn't it? So why would you pay Japanese wages to put a camera together when you can pay Taiwanese wages to put a camera together?
Sure. Exactly.
Or a machine, or a gun, or a
The thing nowadays is with all these, lots of these little parts, especially, and even an action body, it would just need someone feeding the material in, putting the material into the machine every half hour or so, and out would come 10 action bodies or 10 bolt bodies or something like that.
And even if you chuck in 10-15% of those away, you're still gaining.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
But
one guy with a gauge that just puts the gauge up to it. Yes. No.
That's what it would be. It would just be someone inspecting the finished product that comes out of the CNC. But that's the way of the world. What are you going to do with the front side on that thing? Is it going back?
Screw it back on.
It was back a bit, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was back half an inch. So I had half an inch to play with. Well, 13 mil.
Yeah.
So, but this is what I was talking about before, in that we make a lot of tools to do the work that we do, but we make a lot of tools to make the tools to do the work that we do. So this was a 4570 Marlin. Now most threads are like 5/8
24.
5/8 24. Yeah. And the minor diameter of 5/8 24 is 574 on a barrel. So there would have been plenty of meat. But the problem is that a 5/8 thread, 16 mil, was too big, because this barrel, like, I need to be able to, once I've got the muzzle brake fitted, I need to be able to machine the muzzle brake down so it's the same contour as the barrel, because you've got screws that go in, and so you don't want it to interfere with the magazine tube. But also he wants that sort of seamless look to his gun, which is cool. I can do that. But I need a decent amount of material to be able to do that. So I can't use a 5/8 24. I can't use anything that big. So I have to go down. But the problem is if you go down to 9/16 24, your minor diameter is only just over half inch. And so then you've only got half a mil of wall in the barrel then. And so there is a thread which gunsmiths use specifically for 45 calibered rifles with thin barrels. But it's just made up. Yeah, it's not an actual thread in anyone's books. And I suppose, and I said before, I probably should have made it a little bit bigger. I wouldn't have had a tap for it, but I would have been able to do it on a CNC to make the brake, and then to thread the barrel is the easy part. But then to thread the barrel, see, I'd turn that down. To thread the barrel, to get my threading tool close enough, we've already wasted a lot of the threading tool, so I can get it up closer so it doesn't hit the tailstock. But even then, the tailstock was too big, and so I had to make this. So this is a tool with a taper on it. It's made out of tool steel. I've still got to harden it. That goes into the tailstock, and then that goes into the muzzle. I'm not going to push it in there because I've already re-crowned this one. But that goes into the muzzle, and it's just bigger than, so it's 460 thou, or 458 is the rifling diameter, and this one's 473 thou on the taper, on the centre. So it only just goes in there. So then I can get in here and thread it without it hitting the tailstock. So I had to make that in order to do that, to then fit that, to make it so he's got a muzzle brake on his gun, so. But that's out of that 4570. This is really interesting. I went and I've got a special jig there which uses collets to hold barrels. Look at the big bevel on it. They've got collets that hold barrels to then undo actions and stuff. And this one just about fell out. Just the weight of the 18-inch crescent almost undid this one. So I hope it goes back to the same spot. I hope it doesn't, the thread's not far. But that's out of a Marlin 4570. And you'll see that the threads on that screw into the action are a buttress thread. Is it?
Square, aren't they? I can't remember.
Buttress is square, isn't it? Or is buttress square on the front and curved on the back?
I think that's...
Or is that like they call it an Acme thread, or?
Yeah, that's an Acme, more like an Acme thread.
An Acme thread.
Yeah.
Square thread, anyway.
Yeah.
So I don't know why Marlin used that. Why do they use that?
I have no idea. It's the dumbest idea I've seen for a long time.
Because the problem is you've got gaps at the top and bottoms of the threads. You do on tapered threads, on 60-degree threads, but not like the gaps that are in this thing.
When you screw a 60-degree thread up and tighten it up, the 60-degree comes... The faces come together on one side only, of course, but then that is strong in the fact that it can't slip, and that's what happens with those. Anyway, if you overload one of these things, the tops of the threads swell, and you'll end up with ripples in your chamber, and then your cases won't come out. So hopefully Ruger don't copy that when they produce their Marlins. They probably will.
I've got a feeling they're just taking the tool and they're just going to move it somewhere else and it'll be exactly the same.
I think they're putting it into their factory, yeah?
Yeah, they're moving it to their site, I think.
Yeah. So that's an interesting gunsmithing job that I've got this week that I'm working on at the moment. The other one that I'm working on at the moment is this one here, which I'll have done next week. So this is a Lithgow, and you would have heard in the past that I've done conversions on Lithgows to turn them into 300 mags. Well, apparently this gun was sent to me from over east. I don't know why. A gunsmith over there couldn't do it, but anyway, the client wanted me to do it, and so
This guy's on him to send it in.
I don't know about that, but okay. Anyway,
He wanted to know about a 300 Win mag, and I said, "Well, beat him sometime."
and we've done these before, and so I'd opened the bolt face up, modified the extractor, modified the bolt stop, and got that to work. Oh, this is a virgin action as well. I don't know how he got hold of it, but there's no screw holes in the bottom. I've got to put them in there. Yeah, as well to fit the magazine catch. But this is the interesting thing about this is that it's a carbon fibre barrel. This is an IBI barrel, so it's steel core with a carbon fibre wrap over the outside. I'm not exactly sure how they make it, whether they make it the same as Proof, but it's it's a really nice fit here. I don't know if they lay the fibre in there and then epoxy it in a mould. I'm pretty sure you have to do it in a mould because you have to inject the resin and shit in there under pressure, and then profile it afterwards.
It's got to be the nicest carbon fibre in something like that I've seen.
Sort of finish. Yeah, it looks really nice. It's and it's interesting. It's really light, yeah. So that the barrel for the same thing in steel would weigh a lot more. So it's a very light barrel. It's going into a carbon fibre stock as well, so it's going to be a very light gun overall.
Yeah, kill it both.
Yeah, the stock doesn't weigh fuck all. Yeah, it's going to flog him. But I mean, if you're shooting it off hand, it won't be that bad.
It won't be too bad.
So, and I'm pretty sure that's what he plans to do.
If I had one something like that, I'd shoot it about 10 times and sell it.
Yeah, get rid of it. But it's really interesting seeing stuff like this come through, jobs come through that interest you. Because anyone who knows me knows that I get bored really quick. So I hate doing runs of things, yeah? I hate doing like 10 of one things. Like, the stock adapters for the fucking Atlas, that almost fucking killed me.
No, we had to get the stock whip out and whip you down and tie
I
you
was
to the fucking
defeated man by the end of the week. I don't want to do this anymore. Poor bastard.
In fact, it's a real wonder that Friday Night Live has lasted an entire year.
Yeah, that's true. I think Trent, who's not here, I think that's probably most of the reason. Between me and Trent's got marginally more fucking conscientiousness than me. So yeah. And then this is the other job that I finished off recently. I've got a couple of little things to do, but I don't know if I've spoken about this one on camera, have I?
I think you have spoken about the Nosler.
No, I'll just put it away. Okay.
But you can talk about it again.
I saw it and I thought, fucking cool.
I need to write about it so you can tell me what to write.
Okay, so this is a Weatherby Mark V Deluxe. So this stock, I don't know where I got it from. It was a really nice stock, but it was a bit light. It wasn't light, but it was light for what I liked. And so I recut it and refinished it. And I refinished it with alkanet root, like steeped alkanet root, which is a really dark red colour. So that's why it's got that really dark red colour into it. But it did stain the white line spaces, which I'm okay with because I don't really like them anyway. But there's a white line maple spacer there and there, which have now darkened off, especially on the end where the end grain is, with the rosewood 4-end tip and grip cap. So that's really cool, really nice. The barrel that I've put in there doesn't really fit it that well, but it fits it well enough. But it's in 26 Nosler. And then I've hung onto that scope for a couple of years. It was the last of the gloss VX3s that they made. You can still get them made, but they have to come from the custom shop. This came straight off the floor, So, and then I hand polished everything and sent it over to Alexander's to get blued. And their bluing is beautiful. So I'm really happy with that. But the other thing that's really cool about this, and I don't know where I got it from either, but it has a single set trigger. So you push, this trigger is just the factory trigger, but they've put this trigger shoe into it, which works as a single set. So you push that forward and the little lever comes through and then you just touch it, it goes off.
And you never knew that was there until about 2 weeks ago.
No, I knew it was there a couple of years ago, but someone else pointed it out to me.
Yeah.
Because I just thought it was just a trigger shoe, you know, like an oversized trigger shoe. And I think it was Brian was looking at it and said, what's that thing in the middle there? Fucking la la la. And I think he'd seen one somewhere else and he goes, oh, I know what that is. And pushed it forward and it's a single set trigger. So that's really cool. So, but it's got an early floor plate because the late one's are alley. This is a steel one. So I could rub it all down and polish it. So it's all the same as the rest of the metalwork. And I checked it myself, my first checkering job, and it's absolutely shit. It's really woeful. Like that was the first panel that I did, and that's not very good at all. And then that one's the second, and that one's slightly better, and then that one's the third, and that's not too bad. And then this one's the fourth, which is a lot better. I'd still have to clean up the border a little bit. But cleaning up other people's checkering is a pain in the ass. Yeah. Because you pick up their mistakes. So yeah, I can't wait to get that one out and shoot it. Weatherby Mark V, 3-lug, oh, it's not a 3-lug bolt, but it's a 9-lug bolt because it's got 3 rows of 3 lugs. Yeah. But it's only a 54-degree bolt lift on a Mark V, so nice and quick.
So nice little blended in brake he's got there.
Yeah, like with the stainless steel spacer in it, just to give it a bit of...
It's got pretty much the same bolt lift as an Omar.
That's right. Yeah, there's a lot of similarities between that and an Omar. Fuck me. There's more similarities with that Lithgow to a bloody Omar. Actually, that Lithgow is a fucking cleaned up Omar, isn't it?
Yeah, you reckon?
Yeah.
So it is 3-lug bolt. Yeah.
3-lug bolt. It uses a separate locking lug thing. On the Omarks it was in the barrel. This one's it's just a separate lug.
Yeah.
It's yeah.
Well, you can see where Lithgow went when they decided to build a new.
I think Omarks locked up on the inside as well, didn't they? On the face of the barrel, not on the shoulder.
Yeah, they did too. Yeah.
I think they did. The
Original
original ones did.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the original ones. Yeah.
So good for a laugh. So there you go.
Now we know where Lithgow pinched all their ideas from. Bloody Omar.
Well, except for the safety.
Oh yeah.
That's from Howard.
How or bloody Winchester?
No, sorry, Winchester.
Yeah.
And except for the rear locking, the rear action screw.
Yeah, that's from Bruno.
They stole that from a modification that people did to Bruno's to make them better. So they put that in there.
Yeah.
And they used the magazine out of a ticker. And
was there anything Lithgow about it?
well, the record lugs out of a ticker.
Yeah, that's right.
There's a few sour bits in there, isn't there?
The safety's not really novel. Sorry, the bolt release isn't really any novel idea. Everyone does it like that.
Yeah. Oh, we'll have to bag the boys from Lithgow when we next talk to them. Yeah. Anything
I mean, it's a nice gun.
It is.
But
because they pinched a lot of ideas that are quite good out of other rifles.
That's right.
The systems, not.
It's and for someone like you, you'd love that sort of, because it works and it's simple and it's not that simple, but it works.
Absolutely.
Whereas I look at it and go, fucking, that's a good gun, but it could have been a great gun. Like it could have been fucking stand out.
Well, maybe when you make the beaten LA102,
that's never going to happen.
BF102.
We both know that I'm never going to find the time to invest into something like that. I'd like to, but it's not going to happen.
Oh.
I think it's a bit soft, yeah?
Well, perhaps.
So I think it needs to be hardened.
Yeah.
Maybe I got the angle slightly wrong, I'm not sure. It seems to lock up all right on the full length of it.
Yeah.
So
it'll be useful. Yeah. Very useful.
Yeah. All right, cool. You got no more old shit to talk about?
I haven't today.
No. I haven't really got any gunsmithing stuff to talk about. I don't really want to pull a gun apart tonight. It's getting a bit later, right? Everything's locked up anyway.
Oh, I could get something. We'll have to do a sort of project.
We'll do it next week. For those people who don't know, Trent hasn't been here because he's went and had his Frankenstein transformation.
26 stitches,
Yeah,
I think.
26 stitches
26 or 28 or.
in his nose. I didn't know he had a nose big enough to get 26 stitches into it.
Yeah. Like, I'm wondering if they sewed his mouth shut or something.
Yeah. Well, apparently they were going to get in there while they were there and fix the break in his nose.
Yeah.
Because his nose was broken, so they're going to clean that up.
Yeah.
He broke that doing bloody rugby.
Oh, well,
Fucking
you
idiot.
serve him right. Yeah,
Yeah, that's it. I think part of the initiation is they broke your fucking
That's
nose.
all his own fault.
Yeah. And, but no, they had a big piece of cancer cut out of him.
And so, and they got 26 stitches in there. God almighty.
Yeah, to try and hold it all shut. And he still fucking pissed blood everywhere.
Did he?
Oh, fucking bled like a stuck pig. So,
What else you doing, you know?
yeah, well, he woke up the next day but they couldn't skin graft. They were going to do a skin graft, but they never did. Because the skin on your nose apparently is different to skin everywhere else.
Even on your ass.
Yeah. Well, you put some skin from his ass on his nose, but then he'd grow hair on the inside and outside of his nose, yeah?
I know my dad had skin taken from his armpit when they did when they did his nose.
Yeah, right. I think they were gonna take a graft from like his cheek or higher on the bridge to move down, but they never ended up doing it. They cut like a question mark and then pulled the flap back and then hollowed it all out and then straightened his nose and then put the flap back over. Probably stuffed some chewing gum or something in there to fill the gap up, you know.
A bit of spack filler.
A bit of fucking no more gaps. Yeah. And then just folded it back over and put him through the genome and that's finished. So now he looks like Frankenstein's monster, only 97% of it was made from Trent.
So he'll be good. I hope he's back next week.
He'll be back next week. Yeah. He's managed to get an exemption from wearing a mask because they are worried about infection from wearing a mask. So he doesn't have to wear a mask next week in store, which I'm sure most people won't mind. The rest of us will have to wear masks out the front here still while the band's on, but he won't be able to. So Trent and everyone whose name is Karen won't be wearing masks next week. But then, yeah. Oh, I've got a medical fucking reason not to wear a mask. No, you don't. Fuck off. So that's all there is to it.
Yeah, I'll find something old for next week. You'll be here.
You'll have to look for it before 4 o'clock.
Next week.
If we actually planned Friday Night Live during the week, we could actually make it something worth watching. I mean, we still get a decent audience of people watching us just be idiots.
Yeah. Anyway, we'll try and get a project and do part of it.
Well, that's one thing that Brian was saying is that the projects that we do, we don't actually like publish anything from it. You know what I'm saying? And what we should be doing is we should be getting all the jobs that we do and photographing it before and after and talking about the job. Because a lot of people don't know the extent of your skills or my skills or Brian's skill as a gunsmith and what it is that we do and particularly what we do really well. But also the artistic side of things. Because people see all the, you made a screw or you fixed a sight or you rubbed something or you made a muzzle brake. And it is what it is and it's functional and it's, but there's an artistic side to all that as well, and building custom rifles and shaping stocks and finishing them correctly and checkering and the artistic side of it. And so me and Brian actually said the other day, we're going to take more photos, but also we should be looking at doing, I reckon at a start, 2 a year would be plenty, but he reckons you could do it one every couple of months, like a full project rifle. Yeah. Because we've got like raw Turkish walnut blanks out there, and we've got actions, and we've got barrels, or we can get barrels, and
there are very successful YouTube channels out there that are based on this premise. So I'm liking this.
Yeah.
Let us know what you want to see. Like if you want to see a muzzle brake being made, or the stock being fixed.
Yeah.
Something being bedded.
I mean, because a lot of Brian's work, like the Thompson, he's working on a Thompson pistol at the moment, like an old.
Muzzle loading.
It's an old muzzle loading, isn't it? Is it a Thompson?
It's a copy of something. It's made by Thompson, but it's It's a copy of a
black powder muzzle loading, fucking percussion.
Percussion,
Yeah. And someone dropped it and split it through the pistol grip, just below the metalwork, broke it all the way through. And Brian's refitted the piece of wood so everything, all the grain, everything lines up perfect, and glued it and pinned it, and then found out at the same time there's about 8 other cracks in this thing, and has glued and pinned every crack individually, and then and in a way that you can't see the repair. And now it just looks like a brand new gun. You know, the metalwork still looks shit, but the rest of it, you know, the woodwork side of things, everything fits nicely.
I remember a Moroku shotgun that he gave me a couple of years ago now, and I couldn't find any joints, but apparently the stock was broken in 5 places. You couldn't see any of the joints. It was amazing.
There's no one with that.
Yeah. Well, I'll get one of your Mark V's and bust the stock on it, and I'll get.
Just go and belt someone around the head with it.
Yeah, and we'll get right to fix it. Eh?
You know, we should do like a pimp my Lithgow. Get like someone's Lithgow 1A or something, and just turn it into a bloody. You know, we'll have one, and it's like a beautiful oil finished fucking hand checkered bloody with sculpture work in the buttstock. You know, like a naked mermaid and shit. Sculpted into it and hand rubbed blue finish and all that sort of stuff. Or we do one with get a 1A and make a tactical chassis with a bloody collapsible buttstock and pick rails and torches and an underslung fucking grenade launcher or something, or like an underslung 12 gauge, like that looks like an M203 single shot 12 gauge.
I don't think it'll.
Well, because I've still got to make an M79 that takes 7 22 cartridges.
Oh yeah.
So instead of a 40mm grenade, you take 7 22 cartridges, shut it, bang, all 7 go off at the same time.
No.
Why?
No,
I'd do it just to do it.
Remington made one of them.
Did they?
Yeah. Remember that one we saw at Doug's?
That wasn't a Remington, was it?
Yeah.
It was a goose gun.
Yeah, Remington goose gun.
Oh, right, it was Remington.
Yeah. It had.
I remember that. Do you know how old I was when I went and saw that?
About 12.
Yeah, 12 or 13.
Yeah.
It's a fucking long time ago now.
Yeah. Well, we've been here 20 years, so. Yeah. Yeah, that was a very nice piece. It would have come out of
beautiful gun.
What in those days would have been their custom shop, most likely. You know.
The
equivalent to their custom shop.
Yeah. But that was like a really well made. It was finesse, and it wasn't very heavy. You know, and it was a nice gun. I'm talking about an M79 grenade launcher, the old bloody bent stock fucking piece of crap.
They weren't a piece of crap. They were good.
Oh, they were good at what they did, and they're iconic.
Yeah.
You can look at one and say that's an M79. You know, like, but they were fucking ugly.
Ugly as sin.
Yeah. But that'd be good for a laugh, for a project.
Yeah.
Or I could just build a Seiko A2 243 with an oiled stock and hand rub.
Yeah, I think something like that.
Something like, you know, something that someone would actually buy.
And we've got those sort of semi done already.
Yeah, there's a couple there.
Yeah.
And we just got to finish off and get out front. That one's got like 16 TPI checkering on it too. Like it's got really coarse checkering. Like the checkering looks quite. It doesn't look agricultural, you know what I'm saying? Like it looks like it belongs, but it feels different to pick it up, you know, and it's got not, you know, really bold checkering pattern on it. So I really like that. But then we've also got we've got a heap of Mauser actions out there with Turkish walnut, which I've actually graded all the wood and set it out, that we'd have to do.
Yeah.
So. And I've got an octagon barrel out there, so I can make an octagon barreled Mauser in a Turkish walnut stock in a very classic sort of European style design. At the moment, the stock is like a modern, relatively modern Bell & Carlson style. Yeah. It's straight comb, but it's you know, but it's not a European sort of stock. Yeah. But there's enough meat in it that you can modify and that sort of shit. Yeah. Make a steel grip cap for it. Yeah. A little trapdoor. Yeah. Keep a $2 coin in there or something.
Screwdriver.
Yeah, like a little screwdriver for a packet of bloody toothpicks in there or something. You're out shooting and you got something stuck in your teeth.
Yeah. But Yeah, and we'll pick out the nicest one of those. I think I've got one that I was going to start on. And then,
I started on one.
did you?
Yeah. I think I got the bolt handle turned down and that was about it.
Right.
So, but it could be something that we could pull out some components and ask people like, what do you want to see out of this?
Yeah.
Like a classically stocked, express rifle in 6.5 Creedmoor. In a Mauser action. Octagon barrel.
No,
6.5 Creedmoor.
7x57.
6mm dasher.
Oh. Yeah, sacrilege.
6.5 Weatherby RPM. Like a fucking really modern caliber. Or something.
Rubbish. No, terrible. The modern cartridge designers haven't learnt much, honestly.
No.
No. The Swedes had a 6.5 in 1894.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's quite adequate for whatever.
And it's a great cartridge.
Yeah.
But it's not made in America.
That's the problem.
So why would you chamber it? Weatherby chambered it in our Vanguards for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ruger did too at one stage.
Yeah, Ruger used to do all that sort of weird shit. They would do a run of 6.5 by 65, and a run of 264 Win Mag, and a run of 257 Roberts. Silly shit. They do a Ruger number 1 in 303, like they do a run of them.
Yeah, that's right. They did.
Just silly stuff.
But it's funny. You mentioned 257 Roberts. Just in the last 3 or 4 months, we've had 2 Ruger Model 77s and 257 Roberts come through.
Yeah.
Bloody.
People still ask about it.
Yeah.
I don't know why. Just get a 2506 and buy factory ammo.
They probably read the blog article you wrote.
Oh, did I write them?
Yeah, a couple of years ago.
You were telling
I
everyone.
didn't bag it out bad enough then, obviously.
No, it's a good classic caliber though, because it's built on the 7x57.
Yeah.
Which is a cartridge of the late 1800s, early 1900s. A fairly long taper centerfire cartridge that'll feed from a magazine nicely. Not like these sharp-shouldered bloody modern things that come out of the magazine, bump into the bloody edge of the rifling, and if you slam the bolt hard enough, they'll shut.
Yeah. But you think about it, even in 7x57, that would be a great, like a scope rifle nowadays, but in 7x57, that'd be a great gun for shooting pretty much anything in WA.
Yeah, that's right.
Like if you're close enough to a camel or a bull or something,
Yeah.
it'd be fine. But you load like 110 grain produce and go and shoot roos with it.
Yeah.
130 grain podges and go shoot pigs with it. 160 grain podges and go shoot camels with it. Like very versatile cartridge.
There's a guy today, he's got a 30-06 and a Ruger number 1 in 450-400.
Oh. Fucking.
And he shoots camels with both of them, but he said the 450, you can, 150 metres, hit them in a boiler, bang, down they go. But the 30-06, he said, I'll get a bit closer and just shoot them in the head.
Yeah.
And he said, hasn't got quite the grunt to bloody knock them down if you shoot them in the chest. But
Well, according to the police, it's fine out to 300 metres.
Is it?
30 or 308, yeah, 300 metres, not a problem. Fuck off.
They wouldn't know.
No, wouldn't know.
Have you ever shot a camel on one?
No. Well, they're basing it on a government document, which says in the preface of the document, this isn't to be used to make policy. It's just a guideline for like APB culling.
Yeah.
And in there they say use a 308.
Yeah.
But they actually don't recommend a caliber. They recommend guns.
Yeah.
And all the guns are chambered in 308.
Oh, yeah.
And all the guns are category D semi-automatics.
Oh, okay.
Well, that's just SLRs, aren't
Nah, H&K, and there's another one.
The SLRs are too old now. They run out of spare parts for them, probably.
Yeah, right.
they? Yeah, probably. But
They had a heap of spare parts, lots of spare parts for them, apparently.
Yeah.
But,
remember, Dad used to use one as his shark gun in the Navy Reserves.
Yeah.
In case someone went man overboard, he'd have a he used to overgas it. He said it'd shake him up a fair bit, but it wouldn't jam.
Yeah.
Well,
No, they're well made.
beautiful company.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're a bit old now. But in the States, see, Imbel in Brazil still make the actions.
Yeah.
And they send them in the US. They take them in the US, and people build them up from spare parts.
Mm.
And I remember seeing an ad 5 or 6 years ago now in an American magazine. Lithgow, SLR spare parts, you know, barrels, bloody, all sorts of parts for them.
You haven't seen any questions or anything come up with it?
Nothing that we really. Yeah, HK417.
Oh, yeah.
It's not a hot, but I also don't have your stylus, so I can't scroll.
Oh, it's stuck in the side, yeah. It's all good. I'll just read the comments later and answer it.
Nothing particularly
Trent's
pressing, I don't
usually
think.
here with his phone, so otherwise I would do it then. But yeah. But getting back to what we were talking about, you know, obviously all those Morsers that we've got, we would turn them into classically styled rifles.
Yeah.
But we also need to think about the way the industry's gone, because the industry isn't focused around that sort of stuff anymore. There's a lot of people who are, it's this sort of stuff, you know?
Yeah.
So, but how can we blend them? Because, you know, like Ross's gun, you know, there's no soul to it, I don't reckon, like its owner. You know, like there's no, yeah.
But I mean, Ross is camping, so we can say whatever we like.
That isn't a chapel, you know. It's not a place of worship. It's that's a warehouse.
Well, that's probably what it's real design is, though.
Yeah. I mean, even Trent's got a little bit more.
You reckon?
Than that. Yeah, I think there's a bit of individuality in that. There's a little bit of character to it. But how can we, you know, sort of bring more life into it?
No. Paint it yellow?
What would he do to us if he came, if he came back from surgery and his gun was painted or...
Well, I think Reno did some spec on his.
Yeah, that was in last week's newsletter.
Yeah, and I think
Didn't look too bad, is it?
I think Trent was pretty keen on that, you know, like...
Yeah.
I think Reno's offered to...
I know Reno's got a couple of
spec
few
his
cans
up
of
a
it.
bit. Yeah.
But yeah, like I'm planning on painting my my Savage A17R when I eventually, when I know it shoots right.
Yeah.
You know, there's not much point in me using 6 cans of paint. So
Tricking something up and it shoots like crap. Yeah.
better go send it back anyway.
Yeah. But Naira will laugh at you.
Yeah, I'll just give you a black stock.
Yeah.
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 But then again, my scope hasn't arrived yet, and I need to paint that as well. I don't think it's getting made.
No. Sweet.
Yeah.
Right, we talked enough crap tonight.
Yeah, I've run out of things to talk about.
So we don't have a lot of new products to talk about. Hopefully, if Trent will be here next Friday, and he'll have a bit to talk about. He's been away for a week.
You'll be out. You'll be out.
Oh no, we're out training next week. Yeah.
Yeah, it will be next week.
I don't know if we'll have. We might have Friday night live out the farm.
Yeah.
So see how it goes.
There's a couple of spots left on that course.
Yeah, there's a couple of spots left.
Yeah.
So short notice, it's only a week, but if you've got a centerfire rifle and 120 rounds of ammo, you'll be right for the course.
And I'll put out a video today on YouTube about what we do on the long range course on the first day, all the calibration and stuff.
Sweet.
See people liking that on YouTube.
And then, but yeah, if you want more information about the course, send us an email. We'll send you a itinerary of exactly what the course entails. We can go from there.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to end this.
Yeah.
We've got that stylus and finish it up.
Yeah, it doesn't work without stylus.
No. Thanks very much, guys. We'll see you next week.